Let's continue with our discussion on COVID-5. A simple introduction of COVID-5 again. COVID-5 is a GIT framework. It is not a software. It simplifies complex issues such as integrating assurance activities, IT strategy planning, risk management, and system assurance activities. Then it also protects intellectual property. Then it reduces potential embarrassment. These practices are put together by the experts all over the world. It has the collective wisdom of global experts. So we have an insight as what conditions, if we don't follow, it may cause embarrassment. So it reduces potential embarrassment. Then enables holistic management. As it covers all the functions, all the areas of the enterprise, we can say it enables holistic management. It is virtually solution for all the problems of the enterprise. Now let's see what are the components of COVID-5. Once again, it is a framework. It includes all the best practices for the respective functions, best practices for risk management, then IT strategy planning, assurance activities, and after that, process description. It has a reference process model and common language. What does this mean? Reference process model, how we have integrated the four functions or the additional functions, how the data is going to flow through the same, what kind of language will be communicated. So basically we are talking about common database and common data flow. Here, there will be one framework. It will be given one type of data and the same data will be communicated throughout the organization. That is what is the process description. It will have a model and a language in which the data shall be communicated. Then it also has control objectives. The name itself is COVID, so it is control objectives. It is a set of high level requirements. If you want to become a market leader, you need to satisfy these control objectives. It will virtually cover all the areas for implementing controls. Once you achieve these control objectives, it assures you that you have taken the optimum care of your business. After this, management guidelines. Here we will assign the responsibilities and measure the performance. This is basically the point where we are ensuring transparency and accountability in management guidelines. And the last point is maturity models. Now we will analyze each and every business process, whether the business processes are optimum or not, is it integrated or not, is it in line with COVID or not. If it is not in line with that, then we will compare it with the COVID standard, and whatever gap is there, we will try to fill that gap or we will try to take corrective actions. So we will keep on doing this till the process is optimum, or we can say the process has matured. It is covering all the conditions, it is integrated, and it is in line with the COVID. So that is what is maturity model. We will keep on doing gap analysis and taking corrective actions for improving our business processes. Okay, once again, COVID-5 framework. What are the functions involved in COVID-5? IT strategy planning, risk management, compliance review, and assurance activities. It also has intellectual property rights and all. then process description, control objectives, management guidelines, and maturity models. Now, I have a question. If I want to evaluate my processes, whether they are optimum or not, which component will be invoked of COBIT 5? If I want
Maturity
to,
model.
yes, maturity model. If I want to ensure transparency and accountability, which component?
Management guidelines.
Management guidelines. After that, where will a detailed description of conditions will be given so that we can achieve the optimum position in the market? Control object. And then where we will have a, okay, fine. We have understood the question. So let's see. Now customizing COBIT 5. We already know what are the functions that COBIT 5 can perform. It also can perform some additional functions. Now you can divide this answer into main purpose and additional purposes. Why we are using COBIT 5. First one is risk management, then assurance activities, then information security. It will also help you with information security. Then compliance review. Instead of saying that, we will say legislative and regulatory compliance. Then management and enterprise IT management, governance and enterprise IT management. And then the last one is financial processing, CSR report, corporate social responsibility report. So what are the additional points here? Information security, financial processing, and corporate social responsibility report, CSR report. You can remember this question as RAIL GF. RAIL GF. The new points added here are information security, financial processing, and CSR report. So you can customize as per your enterprise needs, whatever changes you need in the COBIT 5. After this, now this is an easy question. What is the need for COBIT 5? Why we are using COBIT 5? Increased value creation by IT. We are integrating everything. We are solving all the problems of the enterprise using only IT. So IT is already a key enabler, but if you use COBIT 5 along with IT, it will increase the value creation. So it is basically increasing three things here. It is increasing value creation, then enterprises involvement in IT. This E involvement is over here, the enterprise involvement, and then user satisfaction. So it is increasing three things, then it is reducing one thing. What is it reducing? It is reducing risk and improving compliance. It is not just ensuring compliance, it is improving compliance. And then we are developing business-focused IT solutions. Business-focused IT solutions. In compliance review, we saw that COBIT 5 is a compliance-focused process. Like that only. Here we are saying business-focused IT solution. So this is the need for COBIT 5. Here remember, we are increasing three things. We are reducing one thing and improve and develop. 3IRD, you can remember it that way. Okay, that kind of questions they can ask for 4 marks and all. Now, let's see integrating COBIT 5 with other framework. Okay, what are the other things with which the COBIT 5 needs to integrate? First one is ERM framework. What is ERM? ERM is Enterprise Risk Management Framework. After that, the existing enterprise governance. The existing enterprise governance, then organization structure and the business processes. So virtually they have listed everything about the business, their enterprises policies, strategies, business plan, and audit approaches. You can remember this as PPSG: policies, procedures, standards, guidelines, strategies, structure, governance. Okay, so this is just a list they have given of the enterprises documents that it needs to integrate itself with. Okay, this is an important question. What are the 7 enablers of COVID-5? First one is principles, policies. It is not just principles, policies, it is also framework. So here what we will do is we will define for implementation of COVID-5 what is the expected behavior of the employees or the personnel of the organization. We will implement procedures so that the elements of the organization are working in a certain way. So what we are doing is we are actually translating the desired behavior. In governance, what we saw is we were defining desired behavior. Now here we are translating that desired behavior using COVID-5. So we cannot do that if we don't have the policies, principles, and framework for translating the desired behavior. After that, processes. We have already seen that we need to have the knowledge of business processes, their status at the current environment, so that we can do gap analysis and then achieve the enterprise objectives. Here, which component are we talking about in relation to processes?
Process descriptions.
Yes, sir, we are doing gap analysis of the process.
Isn't it maturity model, sir?
Yes, it is maturity model. Okay. So what we will do is we are applying maturity models to these processes. But first, we must have the knowledge of the processes in the organization. After that, people. Now people are working in the organization. If we don't have people to work in the organization, how we are going to do all these activities? How we will do risk management, planning, assurance, compliance? So people are also important component. Why? Because they have the skills, competence, and they can also improve the current business processes even if we are using COVID-5. Okay, it is not that if you are using COVID-5 that you need to stop improving. There is always a scope for improvement. After that, the fourth point is information. We already saw the common database, common data flow, and common language. Here, same information will be given to all the elements of the organization. That is what will improve the communication and coordination. So it will improve the flow of information in the organization. We need to first understand how information flows in the organization, and as per that, we will improve the common data flow and common database. Yes, from where I'm taking these points, common database, common data flow, which component?
Process description.
Process description.
Description.
Then culture. You cannot underestimate it as a key factor. It is the driving force of the organization. Using this culture, we are going to give strategic direction to the organization. So culture is also enabler for COVID-5. We have to discuss with the management that why COVID-5 is required. We have to implement it within the culture and not outside the culture of the organization. That is why culture is also a key enabler. If it is inconsistent with the culture, it will never be implemented effectively. So culture is also important. Then service, infrastructure, and applications. We need to have a knowledge about what all the services are required by the organization, what is the infrastructure required, and applications required. As we are implementing COVID-5, we need to make changes to our business processes. Also, we need additional services, infrastructure, and facilities. So Here, these facilities are also key enabler. The more improved and updated technologies you are using in the organization, the more effective your implementation of COVID-5 will be. So this we are talking about the processing capabilities. If you have better technology, you have better governance. Then organizational structure. It is the key to decision making and understanding relationships. What is the relationship between the board of directors, stakeholders, employees? You can understand that by organizational structure. Now, if this organizational structure, there are two types of leaderships. As per that, you have to understand the organizational structure, and as per that, you have to implement COVID. So these were the 7 enablers of COVID-5. It is a simple question. There's nothing hard about it. Remember it as PICSO. PICSO, PICSO. There are 3 P's in this question. 3 PICSO.
So could you repeat it again, sir? Only this question.
Entire question.
The 7 enablers. Just a small brief.
Okay, once again. What are the enablers? These are the factors that are helping the organization with COVID-5. If we don't have these factors, the implementation of COVID-5 will be a bit difficult. Now, what are these factors or enablers? Principles and policies. By using these policies, what we are defining is what is the behavior expected from the employees of the organization. Using only these policies can we translate our desired behavior. So policies are important. If the organization doesn't have the system of issuing policies, principles, and other guidelines, then it will be difficult for implementing COVID. Then processes. We need to have a knowledge about the processes in the organization, as we have to apply maturity models to these processes later. Then people. These people are going to work in the organization. They will have their skills, competence. They will help the organization in improving the current business processes. Just because we are using COVID-5 doesn't mean that there is no scope for improvement. We have achieved the last stage. Then information. Here, there will be common database, common data flow. Same information will flow throughout the organization. But first, you need to understand how information flows in the organization. And then after that, we will improve that flow, or we will improve the communication. Then culture. Culture must not be underestimated as a key factor. It is the driving force of the organization. It is that factor that gives the strategic direction to the enterprise. If any objective of the enterprise is not consistent with the culture of the people, it will never be achieved by the organization. So it is also key enabler for implementation of COVID. If it is inconsistent with COVID, then the implementation will not be that effective. After that, service, infrastructure, and applications. Here we are talking about the processing capabilities. What all services are required by the organization, what infrastructure is required, for what facilities are required. If we have knowledge of that, and if we are able to implement COVID, now how effective implementation will be, the more effective or more updated technologies you are using. So you also need to have the knowledge of service, infrastructure, and applications. If they are more updated, they are more defined, then it will help in implementation of COVID-5. And the last point is organization structure. Here there will be clearly defined hierarchy of authority and responsibility. Here we have to understand the relationship, and as per that we have to implement COVID, because that is how we are going to do GRC. So understand the organization structure, and as per that implement COVID-5. What is GRC? Governance, risk management, and compliance. Yes, any point in this question you want me to repeat again?
No, sir. Thank you.
Now let's see what are the 5 principles of COVID 5. First one is meeting stakeholders' needs. Now, how we will understand what are the stakeholders' needs? We will refer to the principles, procedures, standards, guidelines of the organization. We will evaluate what are the stakeholders' needs. And as per that, we will improve our GRC. What is GRC once again? Governance, risk management, and compliance. After that, covering enterprise end to end. Now, we know that COVID 5 is a GIT framework. It is covering all the functions and all the areas of the business. And even if there are some areas or processes which are not covered by COVID 5, or we are not able to implement COVID 5 in that, you can give a call to the ISAGA and tell them about that process, and they will have those experts examine that process and apply COVID 5 immediately. So it is a all-in-one solution. It covers enterprise end to end. What does it mean? It covers all the functions, all the business processes of the enterprise, and provides solutions for integration. After that, applying a single integrated framework. There is only one framework for all the functions. There will be common database, common data flow, common language. So one framework, one solution. That is what they are saying in this single integrated framework. You don't have to apply different procedures or different guidelines for different functions. There will be only one procedure and one framework. After that, enabling holistic approach. Here we are considering the integration of all the functions, all the areas. What we are doing is we are taking a comprehensive view of the organization. That is why we are saying it is enabling a holistic approach. We are not talking about any single function or implementing procedures in one single function. We are considering all the functions. So enabling a holistic approach. In the earlier functions, when we saw strategy planning, risk management and all, we were only discussing what management practices should be there, then what are the key governance practices, then practices as per COVID 5. In each and every function, we had a separate question for COVID 5. So it covers all the functions. Then separating governance from management. What is the responsibility of management? Yes, can anyone tell me what is the responsibility of management? It is
Take decisions.
okay. We saw it in the audit chapter.
Impose correct internal control toward the organization.
Okay, once again, can you repeat?
Impose internal controls in the organization.
Okay, you can also say design, implement, and monitor internal controls. EIM of IC. And what is the auditor's responsibility?
See whether the internal controls are effective and efficient.
EEC of internal control. So here, now what is the responsibility of governance? We have seen key governance practices. What are the main 3 points in key governance practices?
Evaluate.
Setting up.
Evaluate, direct, monitor. So
Monitor.
so the functions are different, the activities are different, the mentality and the design is different. So we will separate this governance. Governance, what it will do is it will look at each and every process. It will evaluate whether the process is correct or not. Then if it is not correct, then it will give directions. And after giving directions, still if some deficiencies are there, deviations are there, we will take corrective actions by monitoring them. So that is what will happen in governance. What will happen in management? We will see whether all areas are covered or not, controls are there or not. If they're not there, we will design, implement and maintain those internal controls. So as the procedure is different, the mentality is different, what we will do is we'll separate this governance from management so that we can do better governance and better management. So why we are separating this? For effective implementation of COVID. So these were the 5 principles of COVID 5. The language they have used in this, again and again, they have talked about governance and management framework and integration. In each and every single point you can find this, they are repeating the same points. So this was just a summary we talked about. In exam, don't write more than 2 or 3 points for each heading. If it comes for 4 marks, just explain these headings in 1 line and finish it. But remember this as a HiSEM. Okay, HiSEM. What is HiSEM? Holistic, integrated, separating, enterprise meeting. Okay, HiSEM. Holistic, integrated, separating, stakeholders, enterprise meeting. Not stakeholders meeting only. Once again, holistic, integrated, separating, enterprise meeting. Now this is an important question. Now let's see what are the best practices for GRC. Now we are implementing COVID 5 in the organization. What all best practices you must have for GRC? What is GRC? Governance, risk management and compliance. First of all, we will define what the requirements are applicable. Which requirements we are talking about? We are talking about the GRC requirements. What all requirements are applicable to the organization? Then we will identify the regulatory and compliance landscape. Yes, the new term they have used here is landscape. It is basically the area of regulatory and compliance. Identify whether all the local laws are applicable, then international laws are applicable. Instead of saying that, they have used the word landscape. After this, we will review our current GRC status. We have parameters for evaluating and reviewing. We will see them later. So we will review the current GRC status, whether we have reached the optimum level, whether we are complying with all the requirements or not. Then we will determine the most optimal approach. Now what we will do is we will integrate all these practices and try to find the optimal approach. What does this optimal approach mean? Minimum cost and minimum time, but we are complying with all the requirements by providing a innovative solution. That is what is we are determining a most optimal approach. It is just like in a compliance review, we were optimizing our response after understanding the requirements of compliance. Then we will set key parameters to measure success. Okay, there is a specific term for this. Can you identify that? Setting key parameters to measure success. There is a word which encapsulates this point. Okay, we call it matrices. Okay, metrics, success metrics and all. So those are basically parameters to measure the success of the individual function. Then using a process-oriented approach. After we have understood the requirements, what we will do is we will prepare a flow chart. Okay, this is the function. These are the activities. These activities require these compliance requirements. So what we will do is we'll prepare a flowchart of this or a matrix so that you can develop processes in a future state. So these are all process oriented techniques. So we are saying using process oriented approach. After that, we will adopt applicable global practices. Whatever procedures we have, standards we have, guidelines we have, we will try to compare it with other organizations using COBIT, and we will try to adopt applicable global practices. Why we need to do this is because we want to become a global market leader. If you want your business to be consistent with the global practices, then you have to adopt the global practices. And the last point is using uniform and structured approach, which is auditable. Here we will have a proper system. This is the function. These are the activities. These are the compliance requirements. We will have this proper system. It will have a structure. We will document it so that we can audit it in the future. And if any problem arises, we can go back to the structure and we can identify the problem. So why we are having this uniform and structured approach? For ensuring transparency and accountability. And also that we can do auditing later. So this is just a process. They have defined first understand the requirements, then optimize your response, then set parameters, means metrics. Okay, then they have talked about process oriented approach, global practices, and uniform and structured approach. The last 3 points they are just talking about approach and practices. Okay, this was easy.
Sir, the landscape which you were talking about was what, sir?
See, they have just used a new word here, landscape. It is basically we are understanding what are the regulatory and compliance requirements, which local laws are applicable, then international laws are applicable. Okay, if we say only local laws are applicable, what we'll say is it just has a local landscape. Okay, you don't have to worry about what happens at international landscape. So depending on the organization, your landscape will differ. So instead of saying requirements, they have used the word landscape. Okay, do you know the meaning of that word landscape? What is landscape? It is just a form of land. Okay, we use it to describe a region, whether it is a local, international, plateau, mountain, and all. Those are all landscapes. Okay, let's continue. These are the metrics we are talking about to measure the success of GRC. It should be GRC. Yeah? It is not GRP. It is GRC practices. It will reduce 6 things. Okay, what are these 6 things? Redundant controls. Okay, we will continue this after 2-3 minutes. Okay, I will stop this recording here. We will take this in the next session, metrics to measure success of GRC practices.